How's it going, everybody? This is Eddie, and welcome back to the Creative Flat World. Got a brief video for you today that I think is important information for everyone to have, whether or not you consider yourself good at Redstone or not. I don't consider myself to be big on Redstone, but I do dabble, shall we say. And two things that I have found very useful are small, easy-to-build, cheap ways to turn levers into buttons and buttons into levers. I've never really had to use the lever into button way, but buttons into levers, that's a big one. So let's do that one first then, because it's also the simplest. Okay, so what I've done with the blocks here is pretty simple. I have used the actual mechanism as stone bricks, and then like if there's a really key block, I've put it in the I call them circle bricks. I know they're chiseled, but we'll call them chiseled stone bricks. It's just confusing though. What is it actually called? Chiseled stone brick, yeah, circle blocks. That's what they are. I know it's not actually circle, but whatever, circle blocks. Alright, and then I've put with the smooth sandstone, I picked the blocks with the longest names, as the input and the output, so that you can get a real idea of the size of things. Because sometimes people build their contraptions in such a way that you can't really grasp the size of the whole thing, and that, like, this is pretty big. Everything on my screen is pretty big, but only this out of the stone stuff and the pistons and redstone actually matters. So it's actually only one wide. But anyways, let's get into the contraption. Same thing for the other one, but we're going to do this one first. Okay, so let me build and talk at the same time about how this all works, but first a demonstration. Okay, so you push a button and light goes on. So as you can see, what's changing over here with these pistons is that the pistons are changing the location of the block, and when the block is over the redstone torch, then the block becomes powered. The circle brick block becomes powered. And when that block becomes powered, it powers the redstone that is right next to it. So that's the output there. And it toggles based on the button switch. Now, I'm not sure how this works completely, but I know that it does. So it does. So, yeah. I kind of understand how it works, but I kind of don't. So let's build it. The first thing I do is I dig a hole, and I'm going to put my output wire where I want it to go, because that's usually, you know, like if this was a light switch, you're using a button as a light switch, you probably know where you want the lights to go, so you probably want the output wire first, so you know that's where I want that to go, okay? Then we have the hole with the redstone torch in it, and the block, which when on top has the light on, and when next to it has the light off, okay? So next we need the way to move the block with the button and be able to move it back. So in a sense, it's kind of like this. And then, yeah. And then if you power that, pushes block there, power that. So you can do that with the button. With the sticky piston, you might think, well, you could just move the block there and back with one sticky piston, but that doesn't work, because then when you push the button, it would move it, but then it would move back because the button's not a lever, but that's what we're trying to do here. And by the way, this output could be anything, of course. Could be note blocks, could be a door, could be something else. Anyways, but so the way we do that is we put a piston facing either way, similar to what I just did, actually exactly like what I just did, and then you want two redstone on top and a redstone torch on either edge. So this is going to constantly power both those pistons, so they're kind of pushing against each other. And then we're going to want, I'm going to do it on the other side this time, but anywhere on these two blocks, you want like this. Over here is one way. You know, the redstone that was on top of these blocks is being brought in by our input wire, but I'm going to do it on the other side just because that might be better. Okay, so there we go. Now, when you power the top here, it's going to unpower the two torches, and when that happens, then the torches will come back on, and just because of the way Minecraft mechanics work, I don't know if it was originally a bug or something like that, the pistons just kind of move the block and they start pushing against it the other way, so like that. So this piston started to be unpowered, and then this piston pushed, and then they become back on. So it just moves the block back and forth, is basically what happens. And I don't completely understand why, and I think it's just because of the way the game works. But all that you need to know is that it works like that, and then you can utilize it for this. Okay, so ta-da! Two of the same thing right here. Button, lever, on, off. Awesome. Simple, small, and pretty cheap. Only 2 pistons. Now this one is a little bit more complicated. This is the lever on the button. So you can see by the light, which is the output right there. It is doing exactly that. Okay, so the first thing we need here is quick demo. I've done this before, but quick demo of of a bud switch, of a block update. I don't know what you want to call the one that just momentarily pulses. Like, I'll show you. So watch this redstone as our output, okay? A block is added, it pulses. A block is removed, it pulses. Added, removed. Torch, you know, that kind of a thing. They all work. And the way it works is that this torch is powering the repeater, which is powering the block, which is powering this redstone dust, and that redstone dust is powering the block under it, which is diagonal from the sticky piston, which makes it a bud switch, meaning that when you add a block here, it's gonna extend, but only when you add a block is the piston going to extend, because there's a bug in the game that Mojang, however you want to pronounce it, decided they were going to keep because of its awesome uses. So add a block, it extends. Now you saw it extend, but it retracted. It retracted because this piston extended and the glass became the one next to the repeater, and you can't power glass. So just to demonstrate this over here, that's our output. That wire right there doesn't work. Works with, just wire that too. Oh, there, we'll do it like that. Man, you can't really put them right next to each other, sorry. It does work, you get the point by now. I'm just kind of overkilling it now. Works with normal blocks, does not work with glass, okay? That's the difference. So, when the glass is up, this isn't going to be powered then, which means that the bud switch isn't going to be active, which means the piston's going to go back down. And then since it's sand, you can put sand or gravel here, because that'll fall back down. Then you will get this effect. Alright, so now that's the great way to get a pulse with the change, right? So if we head back over here, we have something really simple, which is just the lever is powering a piston, which is pushing a block, okay? So that's the change that's happening. You can see that right there. The block is moving next to the bud switch and away from the bud switch. But as you can see, the behavior is the same as the bud block update. Or a block update detector, whichever you want it to be, I guess. As you can see here, any update, whether that's a removal or an addition of a block, causes the same behavior. Now by default, this thing is on, right? So over here it's on. So I just have this torch here to invert it to be off because, you know, I don't know, I just thought off by default, it makes more sense. So that's all it is. All it is a lever controlling a piston, which is pushing up next to the bud switch. And that's why this is the circle block, the special block, the key block for this one, because it's the one that's causing the bud switch to happen. And there it goes. So it's off, flick it, on, off, flick it, on, off, flick it, on, off, just like a button. So yeah, alright, so those are two important ways. I feel like people ask that question a lot to themselves, and I also feel like people answer that question a lot. So I know I'm not the first one to make videos like this. I'm sure there are other ways to do both of these. That's actually really common. I haven't heard of any other way to do this, but I've seen other ways to do this. But this is the smallest I found, because keep in mind, the wire just comes straight off of this torch, and the wire just goes straight into this piston. So what you get is the size of this thing is basically what's in my view right now. It's not big. It's small. It's 2 by 4. I guess 5 if you count the torch. And this one is... Oh, wait, hold on. This one is 4 by 2 by, and then the height of 3. And this one has a height of 3 if you count the dust, a length of 4, and a width of 1. So, yeah. Okay, so that's it, really. I was saying something else, but, oh yeah, so this might not be new, but you know what, yeah, I thought it would be helpful information. And yeah, I want to know if you thought it was helpful too. So, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please show some kind of support. Really appreciate it. And if you found this on Minecraft forums, just letting you know, in general, the best way to reach me is in the comment section. You know, if you have questions or comments, better ways to do it, etc. I want to know about them all. And best way is the comment section of the video. But of course, if you don't have a YouTube account, or if you just prefer the forums, then I will be checking that, just not as frequently, so it would take longer for me to respond. But yeah, so thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.